I'm sitting here and I'm reading this Drew McIntyre news report, and I'm wondering to myself, how do you mess up creative for Drew McIntyre? How is that even possible? How don't you have any creative for a guy who put the company on his back during a pandemic, held your world championship, was a flagship babyface for your brand, and you have no creative for him? When you look at Drew McIntyre, you look at professional wrestler. You look at Drew McIntyre, you look at one of the most dedicated and loyal guys that you can have on your roster. And WWE has zero creative for Drew McIntyre. Now there's a report out that WWE wants Drew McIntyre back in time for Money in the Bank. To do what? Everything seemingly is moving on without Drew McIntyre. McIntyre hasn't been seen on WWE television since WrestleMania 39 in what I thought was one of the best intercontinental title matches of our generation with Gunther and Sheamus. Coming out of that show, it was reported that McIntyre is not happy with the creative direction of his character, and both sides are far apart on terms for a new deal, as is his existing deal right now expires later this year, early 2024, according to reports. This all is depending, obviously, on WWE, whether or not they want to add time to Drew McIntyre's contract, because he is basically forcing their hand and sitting out by not coming to work. PW Insider Elite reported that there is a push within WWE to have him back in the storyline mix by Money in the Bank weekend, which happens on July 1st, due to him being one of WWE's biggest European stars. There were meetings last week regarding pitches for Drew McIntyre. The report added that the big crux in the talks between the two sides right now is how McIntyre will be used on television and how meaningful the storyline will be. Now, he's obviously a former WWE champion, and he doesn't want to float aimlessly around on television because he's already proven how valuable he can be for the company. Now, while the company does want him to return by Money in the Bank, the belief is that until the two sides agree on an agreement about how he will be used going forward, he will not be back on television. You know, there is only two things on WWE television that would be worth anything to Drew McIntyre, because how do you give something creatively to someone who's basically done everything in the company? I don't know what else there is for him to do. It's almost as if he's forcing their hand and he wants to be put in a bigger spot, take a spot away from somebody else that's been there and hasn't been giving them this headache. He wants to take somebody else's spot and not float around aimlessly like he was going into WrestleMania 39. What else is there for him to do? There is only two things for Drew McIntyre to do coming back to WWE television that will make him anywhere close to happy creatively. They could pay him. WWE could pay anybody that they want. The money is not the issue. Most of the time, it's one of the two C's. It's cash or creative. In this case, it seems to be the creative. That's all I hear about why McIntyre's not back on television. It's the creative. They want to renegotiate with him, fine. If they want to pay him, they certainly can pay him. But there's only two things on WWE TV that's worth this man's time. Number one, coming back as a heel and beating Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know how much WWE wants to make Drew McIntyre a heel champion on Monday Night Raw. I would love to see that. I think he would be a fantastic heel, and I think he's great. I would love to see that. But is WWE going to go all in on a heel Drew McIntyre after Seth Rollins just literally won this world championship? You can't bring him back to television and then take that away from Seth Rollins all because Drew McIntyre wants to cry like a baby because he wants better creative. Can't do that. The other thing is him beating Gunther. Now, what makes him more deserving to beat Gunther than anybody else? What makes him more deserving to beat Gunther, to come back to Monday Night Raw and beat Gunther when Sheamus should have been given that opportunity? You're going to give that opportunity and that accolade to Drew McIntyre, but you're not going to give it to Sheamus? Anybody else on that roster could also be in discussion as well. Why are you not going to give it to anybody else, but you're going to give it to Drew McIntyre? What makes him the standout guy? I don't know. The other thing is him beating Roman Reigns, which right now that's not happening. Nobody's beating Roman Reigns. There is nothing for this man to do on WWE television. The best thing for Drew McIntyre to do is negotiate a release of his contract or come back to work the rest of your contract. Who knows if WWE is going to add dates on top of your contract now? It may be longer for you to escape this WWE Creative prison because of your own wrongdoings, but work your contract. Let the contract expire and go seek employment and opportunity elsewhere. I'm sure Tony Khan will open his doors for you faster than you can blink. I don't know what else there is for this man to do. Honestly, if you guys got a great idea in ways to use Drew McIntyre back on WWE television, ways that I have not listed, I'd love to hear them because we're running out of options right now. McIntyre, really, it's slim pickings for him creatively to come back to WWE television. A WWE Tag Team looks to be getting repackaged on the main roster. Fightful has learned that Mansoor and Massey of the Maximum Male Geeks are being repackaged, with details few and far between as to what this means. Nobody knows, and nobody knows when it will take place. Their time on the WWE main roster as a team has been rather lame. This is clearly a Vince McMahon project. First, Max Dupree was put with the team, LA Knight. Thank God that changed. Triple H changed that and gave us back LA Knight like we deserve. Vince McMahon didn't see him as a great in-ring talent. Then LA Knight was given back his old gimmick because Triple H and his regime saw star potential in Mr. Knight. Maxine Dupree was effectively pulled from the Maximum Male models and then put with Chad Gable and Otis full-time. If they took her away from these two guys, what do you think management thinks of Massey and Mansoor and the overall gimmick? Basically, they took Maxine Dupree away from these two guys because they think these two guys and the gimmick and the tag team are a complete failure. Now, Maxine was pulled. Maxine was booked to be put with the Alpha Academy while they feud with the Viking Raiders. Obviously, not much better. Now, those that Fightful had heard from within WWE Creative said that McMahon was originally high on the Maximum Male models, but didn't want them to be flamboyant. That course was corrected under Triple H, who encouraged that. However, since Vince McMahon's return, that has been scaled back significantly, as has their usage on television in general. Now, Massey and Mansoor worked numerous WWE live events this spring, but only have wrestled on TV in tournaments and in battle royals. Who cares? I guarantee nobody listening to this or anybody reading these reports or on social media, I doubt you care about the Maximum Male models. Massey's a flop. Dio Madden is a flop. I don't know where he goes from here. I don't know what they do. They tried Retribution. First of all, they tried announcing with him. He sucked at that. Then they tried Retribution. He sucked at that. Now the Maximum Male models. He sucks at that. Cut your losses. WWE's got budget cuts reportedly coming up in a couple of weeks. I feel like both of these guys actually may be cut from the WWE. There's no use for them. Now, I will say Mansoor has gotten himself into incredible shape. Now, what they were doing with him beforehand, I don't know if you guys want to go out there and say it was any better than what he's doing now. At least he had a gimmick and some sort of direction here. But under his old persona, WWE only used him for the stereotypical Saudi shows when WWE visited Saudi Arabia and Riyadh twice a year. So pick your poison. You want to be used as a stereotypical Saudi talent when WWE flies overseas, or do you want to be in a dead tag team with a dead gimmick? And at least maybe get some television time and work superstars and work main event and maybe be used on a battle royal here and in a tournament there. Cut your losses. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody will even realize these guys are gone. Nobody will miss them if they end up getting released. Nobody. A complete waste of time, and WWE should realize that this gimmick was a failure from the word go. Speaking of tag teams, WWE is set to reunite DIY. Yes. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are coming back to WWE television. Now, Ciampa has been on the sidelines since he underwent hip surgery in October. I miss him dearly. I miss Gargano dearly. I love both men. His last match happened in September at a WWE live event when he faced Bobby Lashley. This is Tommaso Ciampa. However, it's been reported that Ciampa's return is expected to happen imminently. At the same time, Gargano has teased another member of his family popping up. Obviously, that means Ciampa, leading to the speculation that the two stars will reunite, and Ciampa will be a member of The Way alongside Indy Hartwell, who we have not seen, Dexter Lumis, who we have not seen, and Candice LeRae, who we have not seen. I guess they're waiting for the right way to debut The Way. The reunion could happen as soon as next week, as Gargano is teased returning to WWE television on next Monday's Raw, which just so happens to be in Cleveland, Ohio. In a Twitter post, Gargano teased, and I quote, "You know what they say, there's no place like home," end quote. Now, it would be a feel-good moment to have Gargano and Ciampa reunite on this show. It's unclear exactly how WWE plans to use Gargano moving forward. Never mind the show next week in Cleveland. But Seth Rollins is defending his World Heavyweight Championship in an open challenge, and I thought, when I seen this tweet, I'm like, maybe Johnny Gargano is hinting that he will be the open challenge for Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw next week, which I don't want to see happen, though it would be a banger match. I don't want to see that happen because then you're just setting Johnny Gargano up to lose. And Johnny Gargano should not be put in a nothing match with a championship he's not going to win, just for the simple fact of it's going to be a great match when he's going to lose in the end. He needs to be built. He needs to be brought back to television to made into a character that's going to have longevity on the show and have direction on the show. An open challenge against Seth Rollins, though, will be a banger match. It doesn't really speak to me as direction for Johnny Gargano. Now, Insider on Twitter, you guys know Boozer, BWE, Better Wrestling Experience, has broken stories in the past and reportedly as recently as Monday night to say that WWE still has plans to reunite DIY in the tag team division. That's the best use of them. The only other use for Johnny Gargano on WWE television would be a singles run where he chases Gunther and is the one to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, which I know a lot of people are probably going to be scratching their heads over that. But, I mean, if you want a takeover, Triple H NXT Black and Gold takeover classic on the main roster, then that's the match that you go out there and book to have Johnny Gargano take the title off of Gunther, because he's going to need to lose that title eventually. He's not going to hold that title forever. He's eventually going to need, and he's at that point right now. We're starting to feel that he's at that point right now where he's got to be elevated into the World Championship situation. Mark my words, Gunther and Rollins is going to be the World Championship match at WrestleMania in Philadelphia. That's it. And that's where Rollins loses the title, and that's where Gunther is crowned the true ring general of WWE. But to lose the Intercontinental Championship first is a priority. Johnny Gargano would be a perfect candidate to take that title off of Gunther. Otherwise, who else is there? Is there anybody else on Monday Night Raw that you deem worthy? Maybe a Ricochet. Maybe, I don't know. Who else? Maybe a Ciampa. I don't know. Maybe it's a Ciampa. I don't know. Maybe it's Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa. We don't fucking know. But right now, it's slim pickings for the Intercontinental Championship and Gunther. Who beats him? It's going to be a discussion that's going to continue to pick up steam as we get closer to him breaking the Honky Tonk Man's record. But what I do think in the end is that Ciampa and Gargano reunited as a tag team. I think that's what's going to play up to their strengths. And WWE telling this story all over again on the main roster would be a treat for everybody involved, because what you missed in NXT was one of the best stories in the history of this company. I can't wait to see them back on television, and I do think that with their returns to Monday night, that Monday Night Raw will be significantly enhanced on Monday night. Thank you guys very much for all your support. If you want more content, stick with the channel. I got news as it comes in. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for all the news and turn on the bell for notifications so you know when I upload and when I go live. Tonight, I will be live on YouTube, 8:30 p.m. with my guy, Andrew Baydala, the first episode of what we're calling Tuesday Night Titans. Episode 1, we got a plethora of news topics to go over. Great opinion, great discussion to be had. Make sure your cold beverages are ice cold. And we will see you tonight from the OTS Beer Garden for episode 1 of TNT. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. And make sure you guys go out and check out all the other content on the channel. We were live from Monday Night Raw last night. If you missed the post show, it is on the homepage if you want to check that out. Guys, I will see you later tonight live on YouTube, and I will be back with more news right here on OTS.